This is a D6 generation pip. One of those dots on the side of a six-sided die. Yeah, a pip. A short pip. Little something. About anything gaming related. Sometimes featuring Craig, sometimes featuring Russ. We'll see what's coming up today.
Hey, welcome back. It's been a little while, and we've been eager to get back in touch with you guys. And speaking of getting back in touch, who's this other guy we have on the end of this this connection here?
It's the Eager Beaver.
It's the Eager Beaver Romeo.
What's up,
Romeo? How you been?
It's the all foaminess is back with the D6G guys.
The Lord of Foam.
So Romeo, are you 100% foam again?
150%.
150%.
And he's good at math.
Yeah. That's an extra half. Yes. No, I just quit on all this other stupid stuff that was just sidetracking me. The thing about it, and let's be honest, you can't possibly focus on multiple things at the same time. And me, I can barely focus on one thing. So it just made life so much easier to put all of the attention on our little baby that deserves all the love it can get. Little foamy battles. So yes, 100%, all foamy all the time.
And you're hands-on, you're working a lot. And what's the most recent GW property that you worked with, out of curiosity?
Well, those Speedfreaks.
The orcs.
Which is great because I just acquired the Speedfreaks.
Yeah, not only the Speedfreaks, what else did you acquire?
Well, I had to acquire. So as soon as I started assembling these gorgeous, Romeo, have you seen the Speedfreak models up close?
I put them all together myself. I know every single one of those little sons of.
Oh my God, they're awesome! Yeah. Like the bikes are the same. The newer.
Yes,
I say new old bikes, the old new bikes, but the buggies are brand new. They look fantastic. And as you'll know, Stephen, as soon as I put those things together, there's no way they're going. Romeo. Sorry, why do I keep calling him Steven? If you want to change your name to Steven, it makes it easier for me.
That's fine.
Russ just had his 50th birthday.
I did. I'm getting senile.
We're starting to deal with senility.
I am now officially senile. I cannot pretend I'm young anymore. So that's but yeah. So assembling these things, I knew there was no way they're going to go back in the box. They couldn't get dinged. And I'm like, how do they? But I want them back in the box because essentially it's a really, really cool board game, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But I'm like, I'm going to go check out this Battlefoam.com stuff. And I literally go on Steven's website.
His name is Romeo.
Romeo's website. What is wrong with me?
We've only known him for 10 years.
I know. I don't know what's happening right now.
I think 11. That's okay.
It could be 11 now.
I don't even know what's happening. Romeo, I'm so sorry. So I go on Romeo's website.
Well, it's because his name is so innocuous and normal. Like, you know a million Romeos. You only know one Steven.
I know.
So
that's weird.
Ron forgets. Don't worry about it, Craig.
Thank you, Ron. Nice. Well played, sir. So I go on Romeo's website, battlefoam.com. So I did there. And there it is, the Speedfreaks foam. And you've got a bunch now. You've got the one that fit right back in the box, holds all the game components. I ordered that immediately. And literally, Romeo, I almost said Steven again. Literally, Romeo, I got it in my hands within a week. That might be the fastest I ever got a Battlefoam shipment. Well, so I do think the fact. What's that?
Things have changed around here. I
think because you're fully focused, you're like whipping the garage down there or something.
Yeah, well, you know what it is. Honestly, what we did different, and I'll interject just to tell you that real quick, because you make a really good point here. One of our biggest focus in 2017 and 2018 has been to figure out how to speed up production. So 2 things we did different. We hired a real general manager. His name's Billy. Yep. He goes all the conventions. I'm sure you met him already. Mm-hmm. But he is our Asian persuasion. He literally comes in like fire and ice, like the yin and yang.
He cracks the whip at conventions.
Yeah, he's on top of his game. So he has been a great addition, and he definitely keeps things trucking and moving. And it's really nice because it's really a second set of eyes for me that are equally. His are a little slantier to mine, but they're equally as efficient.
I don't think that's legal.
He knows that. He knows I give him that.
Send email to Battlefoam at Steven@Battlefoam.com.
No, but I'm telling you, he is like literally a second me here, and it's really great because I needed the help, and having it has helped it be efficient, has made us efficient. But it also, what the other really super cool thing is, we added some new equipment. We added, you guys have been here, you visited, I think, and you guys saw the press machines, laser equipment. We actually added some water jetting stuff. So now
wow.
we're able to really punch out a ton of product. And one really cool thing, just a side note, our old trays, our large, tall trays, we used to cut with our laser equipment, and we used to char some of the foam when we did that. And it added kind of like this hardened residue sometimes at the bottom of the trays, but people did not really like that. So no longer, none of our trays now over 2 inches are cut that way. We use different equipment, and there is absolutely no residue, nothing that will hurt your models, nothing that will rub off on your models ever again going forward. So super cool improvement, and that's also added to speed. So yeah, there you go.
That's
Boom.
awesome. Well, I have to say again, the quality. I mean, you guys have always had the quality, but you're also always up in the quality, which does not surprise me. But again, these came right in time. I couldn't believe how fast I got them, Romeo. Because honestly, I've always been impressed with the Battlefoam quality, but you sometimes you have to wait a little bit, especially in the busier seasons. Yeah. And I figured going into the holiday season, October being Orktober and everybody ordering all their new foam, and this all being the hotness, I figured it'd be about. I couldn't believe when I got it in a week. So your grot herders are doing a good job herding those grots.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, we normally, when we see your order come through, we put it at the back of the line, but it must look through.
But the line's so short now. I got right through.
I'll have to talk to my guys on Monday and see if we can fix that.
What went wrong there? Well, I may have ordered it under Craig, so that may have been where we're
that's why it snuck through. Okay, got it.
But it's been fantastic. Everything fits right back in the box. He's got slots for all the terrain as well as all the amazing vehicles. And now, though, I have regrets because you also came out, I think literally the day after I ordered it, you came out with a larger piece of foam that houses all the other vehicles so that when you collect, because as listeners may not know yet, what's cool about Speedfreaks is not only does the box come with 2 cool buggies and 6 bikes, but the other Orky vehicles that have been recently released all have rules for the game too. So if you go out and buy,
that are actually included in the game, which is kind of un-GW like.
So so if you go buy the other vehicles, you now have so now I got to order more Battlefoam so I can, which is great because then that'll all turn into my Ork army, which is basically going to turn into a Speedfreaks army, right?
See, perfecto. I love it.
I love it.
It's almost like somebody at marketing over in England was thinking along those lines.
Yeah.
So, Romeo, were you a big? I know you've played Orks before and been an Orky guy.
One of my best armies, my biggest army.
Were you a Gorka Morka guy? Did you play Gorka Morka back in the day?
I did not. I came in in 4th edition, right? So I don't even know if Gorka Morka was still a thing back then. I can't remember that far back. But when I came in, it was like the beginning of the apocalypse thing. So you were seeing some of the bigger Orky stuff, the Stampa and battle wagons and all that stuff was getting redone. They actually had a battle wagon before it was like make your own and here's some rules. Yeah. So that's when I came in. So I think Gorka Morka was before that, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Gorka Morka came out in the late 90s. And it was the game that got me into Orks. So before Gorka Morka, I was a pure Imperial Guard player. And when Gorka Morka came out, it was the first time they actually made Ork truck models. Mm-hmm. Before that, you had to kit bash them out of whatever you could find lying around. And they were the low, flat, old school trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, we thought they were awesome because first Ork vehicle. But nowadays,
they look tiny.
They look tiny and, quite frankly, not so good.
Right.
But now they've got the new Ork, the Ruck truck or whatever it's called. They've got the... all the different, the one vehicle in the game, the shock jump dragster, whatever it is, which has a shock attack gun as an engine, so it like teleports around the battlefield. So we did. So Romeo, you may not know this, but about last month, right when I got Speedfreaks, the end of October, early November, I did a quick unboxing. So listeners already know what comes in the box, and I know you've already assembled the vehicles. But Craig and I just played our first game tonight.
We did.
We had a great time, and I'd love to chat a little bit about the rules. Romeo, have you actually looked through the rule book or tried the game yet, or you just built the model?
We got the thing, last week, whenever it came out, a week ago or whatever it was, and we went straight to building. I built every model in there. Yeah. And I have to comment, the models are gorgeous. They are as beautiful, spiky and dangerous as all Ork vehicles and Chaos vehicles. Yeah. So there were plenty of pricks.
I see what you
did there. But yeah, I mean, other than that, no, we have not got a chance to play it. We're big Blood Bowl dorks right now. We're all blood bowling it up. So, but we cover that later. So yeah, no, I have not played it. I have looked over the rules. I have looked through it. I've looked at all the templates and the dice and things you get. So I kind of got an idea of what you're talking about. But if fire away, I'm curious actually more about it. So I'm listening too.
Yeah, well, one thing that impressed me a lot about it was so being an old school Gorka Morka fan. Well, there were 2 things for me to buy the game. One was I loved Gorka Morka, so I wanted another Ork vehicle game because it was so much fun. But 2, I've been looking for a good excuse to get. I've been enjoying 8th edition with GW with Imperial Guard, but my first love is Orks. a long time ago, I got rid of my older orc models because I knew eventually they'd redo them and they started to feel dated. And now the new stuff's all out. So Speedfreaks is a great, really pretty reasonably affordable way to get a nice jump start on a vehicle heavy orc army. But what I was pleasantly surprised about was as soon as you open the box, you start to really see that the mechanics for this game aren't just 40K light or skirmish orcs, right? It's really it's really its own unique game system. And one of the things you immediately notice is X-Wing-esque turning templates and moving templates.
Yep, saw those.
Right? So in this game, those are called gubbins. And the basic premise of the game is that the other thing you'll notice immediately that draws your attention is each player gets a screen, a little stand-up screen, and a little dashboard that goes behind the screen. And this is a place you're going to assign your dice pools. So already there's an interesting mechanic in the game where your fixed pool of 10 dice are limited resources that you have to assign in 3 different areas of planning during your turn. There's the cunning phase, or cunning phase, as orcs call it. Everything's spelled with K's, by the way, because orcs. Right. So there's the cunning phase, which is really how many dice do you want to commit to getting initiative? And initiative is a big deal because that indicates who moves first, which also means you get to ram first. It also indicates who gets to shoot first, which also means you get to blow people up first. It is interactive, so I'll activate a vehicle, then Craig will interact the vehicle, but still that first move can be a big deal, especially late game. And then the third thing is the sort of the shooty phase, the DACA phase. You
skipped the second thing.
Oh, sorry, the speeding phase, which is your movement. So how many dice do you want to commit to getting your vehicles where you want to be this turn? And then there's the third sort of dial on your dashboard, which is the DACA phase, which is how much dice do you want to have for your guns. So you've got to kind of decide. And the only rule is you have to have at least one die in the speeding section for each model you have in play at the start of the turn. So each model must have at least one die committed to movement. But you probably want more than that if you really want to go pretty far. So basically at the beginning of the turn, we're going to set up a little screen. We're going to set a little dashboard up, and Craig and I are going to, or whoever's playing, going to hide their dice in each of these 3 pools, right?
Okay.
And then after what's happened, you're going to reveal, and I'm going to say, and it doesn't matter to the face up. It's just, you're just committing dice to pools. And then so we're going to reveal, and the first part is the cunning phase. So let's say Craig put 2 dice in the cunning phase, and I put 1 dice in the cunning phase.
They're custom D6s, we should say.
They are, yeah. So
they've got all cool logos instead of numbers.
Exactly. So there's lightning bolts. Lightning bolts are the best symbol. Then you got your shields and your explosions, and then you got your shields and your targeting reticles, which are also good. And then you got your explosions, which are bad. You never want to roll explosions. So we're going to roll our dice now from the cunning pool. So Craig rolls his 2, I roll my 1. Lightning bolts are worth 2 points. Targets and shields are worth 1 point, and explosions are worth nothing. We roll our dice pools. Whoever got the highest number, summing their dice up, that person gets initiative, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, if you really want to have initiative, throw more dice in the cunning pool. But once you're done with that, those dice are lost. So they're not going to be there for you to roll or attacks, right, or anything else. So that's pretty simple. Making sense so far, Romeo?
Yes, and that's how your pool of 10 dice, correct?
Yeah, right.
Got it.
So now we're in the speeding phase. So now we're going to move our models. So now you're going to have a pool of dice there based on how much you allocated for the speed phase. And the first thing that's going to happen is a player who won initiative is going to assign some number of his dice to vehicles on the board. And the first rule is you have to assign the dice as equally as possible. So if you have 3 vehicles on the board and you have 3 dice, you must assign 1 to each vehicle. But if you have 3 vehicles on the board and you have 4 dice, one of those vehicles is going to get 2 dice, and you can pick who it is as you're assigning. So the reason the initiative matters here is player 1's going to telegraph maybe a little bit about where he's putting more of his dice to move this turn. So you go back and forth assigning all your dice to your vehicles. Once those are assigned, now again, starting in initiative order, players are going to pick one of their cars. They're going to roll their dice. They're going to sum them up under the same summing rules we had for cunning phase, right? So lightning bolts are worth 2, targets and shields are worth 1, explosions are worth 0. And depending on what your total is, so let's say Craig assigned 2 dice to one of his buggies. He rolls them. He gets a total of 3. He gets to put 3 gubbins down now to move that vehicle.
3 of those little templates.
Any one of them.
So the interesting thing about this is you can...
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than
you
that.
can put them end to end, Romeo.
Uh-huh.
So so unlike X-Wing, where you get 1 template and you pick if you're turning left or right or straight.
Right.
Here, if I rolled a 1 for a total, I can put 1 gubbins down, 1 template down. But if I rolled a 3, I can put 3 templates down end to end in any wacky variation I want.
Creates a path.
Uh-huh.
So you're creating a path. So the more dice you assign, the farther you can go in a given activation. Making sense?
Yeah. Okay. Now, real quick, side note, are you racing or trying to destroy each other?
Great
Interesting question.
So there are different, what they call rucks, or kind of like the rugby ruck, right? Different missions you can do.
Huh.
And some of the missions are racing. The one Craig and I played tonight is one player is the attacker, the other is the defender, and one player is trying to come in and blow up the other player's stuff, their junk piles.
Okay.
The terrain while the other player's trying to defend against it.
Yeah.
There's
note to self: junk piles are a lot more resilient than Russ thinks they are.
Right. There is a racing. There's a rolling board format where the board keeps continuing as you drive. So you take the last board off and put it to the front.
Okay.
There's a 6-player sort of mash 'em up. All buggies race around the table. Everybody plays a buggy. So there's a lot of different variety. There's like 6 different missions in the game.
And the one thing I thought was interesting was when I first looked at it and I saw that there were game board pieces. I always feel like, oh, that's going to be limiting. It's not going to feel like you've got like the whole battlefield to play on. But between the gubbins, the maneuvering templates and the missions, game boards, when you put them together, really make a really cool. I mean, the one we played was a very different shape by the end of it than when we started, and so I think it really it makes it seem plenty big enough and long enough, so it's a much more dynamic game than it might look like on the box, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And what's interesting too, it's kind of like Underworlds in a way that the boards can be really weird shapes.
Yeah.
So they're not always just a simple rectangle, right? We had an L this evening. You might have offset boards. So the boards can be
Shadespire. That's what you mean.
Yeah, sorry, yes.
Yes. No, Underworld I think is actually the technical term, but
so that's kind of cool because what comes in the box is instead of a giant unfolding board, and you don't need a mat. So everything you need to play comes in the box, including a tape measure, including a board, including all the tokens, including all the dice. All you got to do to start playing is assemble all the vehicles, which actually is not a small task.
No, because they're gorgeous, complex models.
Right.
Yes.
So the cool thing about this, though, is what really makes it crazy is you're basically, if you roll high enough on these dice, you can move really far.
Yeah.
But there are some restrictions. So the different gubbins, the different basically turning templates, if you will, have different arrow symbols on them.
There's 3 different, what would you say? 3 different categories.
Yeah, so there's the basic, there's the special, and the shiny.
Yeah.
Right? And so the specials have, the regular ones have 1 arrow, the specials have 2 arrows, and the shiny have, I think they're called shiny, have red arrows on them.
Yeah.
And the first rule is that the basic ones, you can use them anytime you want. You just can't use more pieces than you have. The special ones, each vehicle, you can use the special gubbins once per turn for your side. So what that basically means is when you use the special gubbins to move one of your vehicles, you have to put that template aside because no other vehicle can use that particular maneuver this turn, which is sort of interesting.
It is.
And then there's the shiny ones, which you can only use a shiny one if you rolled a lightning bolt on one of your maneuver dice. So you basically have to roll 6 essentially because there's only 1 lightning bolt per die side. And you can only use the red one once per vehicle per game. So it's kind of like a super move, if that makes sense. So you can string together these really interesting maneuvers, and there's like U-turns. None of them are exactly straight, by the way, because orcs can't drive in a straight line, which is pretty funny. They weave out in and out.
And the only way to actually turn around without stopping and doing a 3-point turn is one of the red maneuvers. Right. So
but there is a K-turn template that you can put on the back of your car that basically backs you up and comes around like a K-turn. So it's pretty neat because that's the biggest thing to get your head around is like, wait, you can string templates together. So imagine an X-Wing if you could string 3 or 4 turning templates together and make a flight path. That's essentially what you do. But then the interesting thing about it is when you move your vehicle, you're basically just picking up from one end of the line and putting its butt on the other end of the line. But you have to imagine the vehicle drives down the line, and anything the vehicle strikes as it moves down the path would be a ram, and you'd stop where you are and either ram the other vehicle or ram terrain. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So it's pretty interesting. So what's interesting about it is you can move really far, like really far in a given turn with the right combination of dice.
Right. But then you might crash.
Now, the other thing to remember is there's also a driving skill check. So if you only use basic maneuvers, there's no driving skill check. But if you use some of the special or the shiny maneuvers, you have to make a driving skill check. And if you use the special maneuver, it's +1 to your roll. And if you use the shiny maneuver, it's an additional +2 to your roll. And you roll a D8, you add the pluses. And if that number is higher than your driving skill, you spin around. And it's basically, there's 1 D8 in the game. You basically roll it kind of like a scatter die. You roll it and it indicates where you're facing now.
Right.
And the thing to remember is if as you're rotating your vehicle, you hit anything, you ram. If part of your vehicle goes off the edge of the board, you're destroyed. So don't let that happen. But also now your facing's a problem. And in this game, unlike 40K, in this game, all the weapons have firing arcs.
Yeah.
So if you're an orc bike and you only shoot straight ahead, spinning around out of control really screws up your plans. Making sense so far there, Romeo?
Yeah, no, I'm just drinking all this data in.
So
it's a data dump.
So that's pretty much how that's the most complicated part of the game. Would you say, Craig?
Yeah, it is absolutely.
But it's also the coolest and most innovative part. I would say
it's neat
because it's definitely borrows from X-Wing, but once you're stringing this stuff together, it feels like a very unique experience. And Craig was hilarious because he's like, "There's no straight. Orcs just won't drive straight." It's pretty funny.
The thing that I thought was interesting was it kind of takes that concept from Wings of War, right, or more recently X-Wing. Or the Star Trek version of the Dragons or whatever, and it makes it more Euro-y because you're allocating a limited resource to how many templates you might have access to. Then you're pushing your luck, seeing how many templates are you going to get. Then you're pushing your luck, saying what kind of templates do you want to string together, whether you're going to have to try to make a driving test or not. But at the same time, because it's fairly simple, all of that is done in just a few minutes, and that's like the most complex part of the turn.
Right.
So it's a fast game too, both in the territory you can cover, your model can cover, but also in the speed that all this is taking part. There's a lot of weird little steps, but they all blend together into this really cool path that makes sense. It's intuitive. It's very intuitive.
So,
and the biggest. Go ahead, Romeo.
Would you guys say that this game is designed for like hardcore gamers, or is this more, it sounds more beers, pretzels, kind of fun?
It's beer and pretzel.
It's beer and pretzel. Yeah,
it's definitely beer and pretzel, but I think there's enough meat there for hardcore gamers to enjoy it.
Okay.
What's nice about it is that it's a 2 to 6 player game because there's missions for 4 players, 2 players, and 6 player right in the box. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about this is anybody who's going to have a full sized orc army probably has enough parts for 6 players to play right there.
Right.
So it's the kind of thing that if you're at a 40K event or at a tournament, someone can break out their orc army and everybody can just walk over and you can have a nice, relaxing after 40K tournament sort of fun run around the board and kill people thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat. But it's you actually end up thinking, like you're actually really thinking about like, okay, because the mission we were playing, at first it looked like I had a real big advantage. Mm-hmm. Then it looked like Craig had a real big shot at winning it, but then one of his bikes kind of failed its mission and ended up being not, but it was still very close. Craig almost wiped the board with me actually. So it got down to like at the end, I had one knob biker left with 1 wound and Craig had his buggy left on fire with like 2 wounds.
On fire.
So
it had 2 wounds.
So what's neat about it is there's really only one other mechanic, which is the shooting, because combat's all sort of driven from the shooting mechanics. So after the movement phase, we go back and forth moving our vehicles using the gubbins. After that, then it's the shooting phase. And so again, you got that last pool of dice. And now starting with initiative order, players assign that pool of dice to the vehicles to shoot their guns with. And again, you have to assign them as equally as you can. So if you've got 3 vehicles that all have range to different targets, you have to assign your dice equally. So if I have 6 dice and I have 3 vehicles with a range of targets, I have to put 2 dice on each vehicle, which makes it really interesting because what that means, the metagame there is don't overcommit. Like if you really want to kill something, make sure only one of your vehicles has line of sight to an enemy so that all your dice pool go against them. Or you got to put a lot of your resources into shooting for the turn.
Yeah.
Now, but what's also interesting, Romeo, is it's kind of like War Machine, is that as your models die, kind of like in War Machine, when things die, you've got all this focus now to put on one warjack.
Yeah.
In this game, as things die, now you've got your entire dice pool on 1 or 2 models, and now you're really maxing out. So it's kind of interesting. It's got this balancing mechanic built in that as in the beginning, when you have all your models, you're doing a little bit. But if I start to have early losses, it means the guys left have more resources.
Right.
So it kind of is a catch-up mechanic, which is kind of interesting.
Which is exactly how it worked.
Right, exactly. But then what's cool is the shooting phase is really simple. So you allocate your dice evenly, but if you have extra dice on one, then when the model goes to shoot, you allocate the dice on that car, again, evenly against the different weapons it has. So vehicles might have several weapons. Like Craig's got a buggy that's got like stick bombs on it. It's got a turret on it. I think it's got some pistols all over it.
Exhaust. It's exhaust.
Fire
pipes,
shoots out of the exhaust that burns things. So you can allocate where the dice go. Now, each weapon has a maximum number of dice it throws, just like 40K. So you might have 6 dice on your car, but it only has 2 weapons of 2 dice each. So you've got all these extra dice. But that's okay, because if there's extra dice allocated, they turn into rerolls on the weapon. Yeah. So more dice just means you're aiming more carefully, and less dice means you don't fully use the weapon all the way because maybe you're low on ammo. And then all you do very simply is You roll your dice pool. You're looking for lightning bolts and targets. Meanwhile, your opponent, your target vehicle, has an armor rating, and that's how many defense dice he gets. He's looking for shields. And for each hit, you get larger than the number of defense dice the opposing player rolled, larger the shields than he rolled. You then draw damage cards. And so there's
just like X-Wing.
Just like X-Wing. There's a deck of damage cards. And a lot of these cards just say do a wound, which you put a token on your guy, and they have a number of hull points, just like 40K. When those are gone, it's dead. But a lot of these things are really fun. Like driver injured, his driving skill goes down, or your vehicle's on fire, roll each turn to put it out, or one of your weapons damage, its ranges are halved, or things like that.
It was a lot of fun.
My favorite one I got, I think, was the steering wheel came off.
Yes.
So every other gubbins gets placed by your opponent when you're trying to move your car, which I thought was pretty funny. Is that all making sense, Romeo?
So there's a ton of, I mean, it sounds like there's just a ton of orky randomness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fluffy. And then you have the kind of the mayhem, which they're kind of known for. So, and I'm going to assume, obviously, seeing the models and hear from how you guys play the game, there's no way to incorporate other vehicles, or do you guys see it maybe changing in the future?
No, there is, because in the core mechanics, the core rules, extra cards come for models not in the kit. So cards come for the War Trike, which is not in the kit, and cards come for the other three orc vehicles not in the kit. So or orc buggies. So the War Track, which I mean the truck, and then the other two buggies, the one that's got I'm trying to remember the names, but the one that's got the drill bit on the front, and the one that's got the Gretchen strapped to the front.
Yes.
Right. Both of those can also. So there's really 3 more vehicles you can add to your collection.
Yeah, there was like 5 orc vehicle kits that were all released at the same time.
Right. It's 4 more because it's the trike and it's the 3.
So there were 6, but there were the 2 that you get in Speedfreaks.
Yes,
and then 4 others, and they were all released as 40K kits at the same time. And Speedfreaks includes the player play mats for all the vehicles that came out in that release.
Right.
Yeah, I think my question is, because I put all those
like other together. Races.
What? Yeah, like do you guys see this game having any potential for other races at all, or is this always just going to be
factions? Nah, I don't see it. I think it's going to stay orky, but who knows? I mean, who knows with them?
Yeah, I mean the mechanics would work with other races, but I don't know if thematically it would make sense.
Right.
Enough sense for them to put money into the development.
You want to have turn templates for the different vehicles to not be so crazy.
Yeah. That's true.
Your damage cards wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's all very, very, very orky themed.
The theme on it is like the damage cards down to everything that goes wrong. I mean, this is an orc player's paradise. What's also cool, Romeo, from the fluff point of view is all the card templates or the play mats for the vehicles in the back are just full of fluff.
Right.
Yeah. Cool art, background fluff. And that's really the whole game, though. I mean, the only other bits are, hand-to-hand combat, which is basically the same as shooting. You just roll the pool of dice.
Yeah.
Ramming is basically the same as shooting. You're just rolling pools of dice. And the other mechanic that's really interesting is there's actually a campaign mode also. So there's an additional deck of cards, which are basically upgrades for your vehicles. And this is used in campaign mode. So you play multiple games. They string together. You can tell a story. And if your vehicles don't blow up in each game, you can actually get additional war gear essentially for them that do cool things and upgrade things as well. That's really that's Speedfreaks, Romeo.
Kid and caboodle.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, the vehicles are top notch. Like I said, I got to emphasize, I mean, putting them together, you get a chance to really kind of get a hands-on of what they are. Although I didn't read a second of rules, that's nothing new.
Now you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
But as far as the models, I mean, they went together super simple, super fast. They're, obviously all the GW stuff now is computer generated. So everything locks in perfect.
Beautiful detail.
Really
beautiful detail. I mean, the one vehicle, again, I don't know which one it is, but it's the one that fires little goblins. It's got like a cannon out the side. I don't know if you know.
Got a grot launcher.
And there's just like a bucket and a pool of goblins that are like in the back seat of this that have been stepped on by these giant orcs, and getting pushed through the little suction hole of the cannon. He's about to go out the front end first. And it's just that orky funniness that you're like, oh my God, this little goblin's going to get, shot in outer space here in a minute. So very, very cool.
They all look shock attack rifle.
Yes.
And the other thing is the one that looks like an airplane, the little one that looks like a jet. The little plane one, which is really nice. Yeah, my favorite is the shock dragsta, because it's basically got a shock attack gun as its engine. Yes.
So if you roll double lightning bolts in Speedfreaks that actually teleports.
Oh wow!
And those rules also work in 40K, by the way. So it literally is teleporting around the battlefield. And you can buy squadrons of 3 of these bad boys in 40K, and that's just awesome.
Yeah, they're just teleporting.
But all the fluff, like I love the fact that the buggy Craig was driving shoots fire out of the pipes that are on the side. So in Speed
and
Freaks,
it's a big giant turret.
Yeah, in Speed Freaks it damages guys to your left and right, but in 40K it also does. It damages infantry models nearby. Yeah. So like they've really got the fluff in there. Like the visuals of what these orky vehicles are just so awesome.
Yeah.
So super impressed with that one. So Romeo, I know we're running a little out of time here, but I did want to ask you before you go. I know it's Thanksgiving.
The season.
It's Thanksgiving week, right? Yeah. It's time for turkey, but that also means Black Friday is nigh upon us, sir.
Oh Lord! Again, it comes so fast.
Are you taking a year off this year? You're just going to close doors and be closed for Black Friday.
Well, right? You know what? I don't know if you know this, but this is our 10-year anniversary come January 1st.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Math works that way.
Yes, right. Yes. 10 years Battlefoam's been protecting your army, catchphrase. And one of the cool things we did this year is we released 2 new colorways, 2 new Pack 720 colors. We call it nuclear green and the urban spec camo. So these 2 colors are limited to only 200 each. And what's different is we actually numbered every bag. So you will get a random number between 001 and 200. It's unknown. We've already got people asking us for numbers.
I did an Orc Army bag, Romeo. Now I kind of want a limited edition, super cool green thing.
Well, they'll never be made again in those colorways, and you'll never have a numbered one again, which is really freaking super cool.
So, now, are these on your website yet?
Yes,
are they going to hold up?
They go live on Thursday night.
Popped in. There it is.
Oh, look at that thing. That is some neon, dude.
That is certainly nuclear green.
Oh, I love it.
There.
Is that awesome? It goes in the dark. It's so cool. But
that is like you can see that across the tournament floor. It's like, hello, that is in the room.
You know exactly who you are when you got that bad boy out. But that's one of the awesome. Things we did. But if you notice on those bags, there's a 10-year anniversary patch that is stitched into the kind of the headliner of it, and that's also unique to those bags, and will be a limited edition kind of thing we do. So all little neat things we're doing, and then of course the sale, right? Everything goes on sale, 15 to 75% off. We got discounts galore up and down the website. So everything will be discounted at something. It just depends what it is on how much it is. But yeah, if you're looking for storage, my goodness, dude, make sure you shop between Thursday night at midnight, the 22nd, till the end of Cyber Monday on the 26th at midnight. That's our.
Oh, you got a whole weekend.
Yeah, awesome. Take your time, go with the family, eat your turkey, watch.
Battlefoam for the whole family.
Don't take too much time because these are limited time only.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Don't take too much time because it's funny. We gave retailers the opportunity to buy 50 of the 25 of each color, 50 total of those bags. So we reserved 175 for our customers and so on and so forth. And we sold the 25 of each color in less than 2 hours to our retailers.
Wow.
So they went instant. Like, I mean, as soon as we send the email out to the retailers, because we have, our retail chain.
That urban camo looks beautiful.
I
want the green.
They were gone. And we actually have retailers that missed out on them on the 25. And there's like offering us, I mean, crazy enough as it sounds, some people are offering $100 over what we have them for just so they can get their hands on them, because some of these retailers want them for themselves, like the owners. But we have to stick to the plan. And it's, again, it's just, there'll be 175 of each color left for the public. And they go up at midnight Eastern.
On Thanksgiving night?
On Thanksgiving night, yeah, the 22nd. So this is airing live, I guess, now, right? And then it goes archived. It's
going to be live. This will be out on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So it's live now. Patrons can hear it now, right. But yeah, it'll be live tomorrow morning.
To the public tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so then I would say to them, tonight, everyone, tonight at midnight.
Yes.
Tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, that's when the sale goes live. And we make a big announcement about it on the website, and you'll see like banners and all kinds of crazy stuff will go up. So you'll know.
Romeo, can I ask you a question about your Magna racks?
Magna racks, yes.
Yeah, so we have a friend of ours, Adam, who's a huge Battlefoam player. Okay. And he now is a true believer in Battlefoam Magna racks. He's converted all of his stuff.
Oh, Lord.
He loves them. He was showing me the crazy amount of models, because especially the Battlefoam models, are like, they have little flying bits everywhere. And And so for the Magnarax, like I'm looking at this, right, and I want to buy. Would you say if I'm going to build an Orc vehicle heavy force,
Yes.
would it be better to go Magnarack or traditional battle?
Here's my opinion on Magnarax. Okay.
Yeah.
Magnarax are great for troops because troops are a pain in the butt to put away because you have to put, let's say you have 40 space openings on a tray and you want to dump 40 dudes on a tray. It takes a little bit of time to put them all in, be a Space Marine or a Carnifex.
Right. You got to remember which slot is designed for that guy because his speed's in the air.
So there's that. And sometimes these models nowadays, everybody's got like little spiky things sticking out of everywhere or banners or whatever. So I kind of feel that Magnarax work really well. Like you said, Malifaux is excellent for it. And anything that has lots of troopers, that's really good because you can just put everybody as they die on the board, and then you just put it in your bag when you're done playing. So since they're magnetized, right?
Because they pop right out, and you can exactly. He was showing me that.
Pop them right out. So the only thing I think with vehicles, because vehicles you need larger magnets, you're going to have a smaller contact point. Let's take Speedfreaks, right? The only contact point is on the very little bottom of the wheels, and you would have to drill a little hole there and put 4 magnets on each wheel. Well, 1 magnet on each wheel, 4 magnets per
Well, they're on the oval bases now, right? So they're all on those oval bases.
Sorry, that's right. I'm thinking of them before I was gluing them to the base.
Right.
You can do the base, but even then, you're going to have to put 4, 5, 6 magnets on.
It's going to take a lot, and they're kind of contained in that oval. So I'm not sure how much custom cutting you would, like as long as you have a bunch of ovals, you're pretty good.
Yeah, they don't like overlap outside of the footprint much.
They don't. There's only one. The Dragsta, the back wing overlaps over the base, and we actually have a cutout for that. So if you look, if you are doing that army, I'd be honest with you, the cheapest route is just get that Speedfreaks tray. It fits all 6 of the vehicles, and it fits all the variations of them. So, and then if you did more than that, you can always do custom tray, and we have all of those vehicles on the custom tray creator right now.
Of course you do.
Of course you do.
So you can build whatever version ovals you want and set up. You can mix and match. You can if you want to do a bunch of bikes. And like a battle wagon, and then like 2 of the buggies, you can do that. You can do 4 buggies in 1 battle wagon, or a Stampa or whatever.
I think you convinced me, but I really want one of these bright green bags from here. So I'm going to be on at midnight tonight when you're hearing this. I'll be on there ordering my bright green, lime green. Oh my God, I want you to just be blinded by my Battlefoam bag.
It's nuclear.
Wait till you see it. The color is so friggin' cool in person. I
know, I love it.
When we got,
and it's got a serial number on it. It's got a little thing. It just feels cool.
Yeah, when I got the swatch for him, I was like dead set. I was like, oh my God, I love him. And there were people here, I will not name names, my wife, who were naysayers. Nobody's going to want me.
So here's my prediction, Romeo. I'm going to make a prediction.
Yes,
and I want you to let me know if this is true. I predict that the nuclear green will sell out before the urban spec.
I will predict along with you that you are 100% correct.
Wow.
Because
I think it will.
Because the inside scoop is that those sold first, and then the retailers bought the urban.
Oh yeah,
and I think it's because the urban doesn't look. The urban's awesome, but it doesn't look that different.
It's not unique enough. It's cool.
Yeah, the green is. It's definitely. I think it's going to sell like crazy. It looks awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I think the lime green is just like. The lime's like nuclear's a good choice. It's like, what is happening there? I don't know, but I want it.
Yeah,
especially for orcs. It's like it's covered in orc blood.
Yes.
It's great.
So it's really exciting. So that we have those going, and then of course we have the sale, on everything. And there is always something fun to find out and see as far as board game kits we have, and of course Speedfreak stuff. But that new we're going to try to put out the Shadow. What is it? The Forest, the new one that's coming out tomorrow. Whatever was that game? Dark Shadow Forest. I don't know. The new GW box game that's releasing this week.
They're just dropping games like candy. Or
see,
what is it? Yeah, that one.
Black Forest, black.
What are the?
No, I gotta look.
Damn, Blackstone Fortress.
Yes, God bless you.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes. No forests. No forest.
Blackstone. There's stones. Forest.
Blackstone Fortress. That game comes chock full of models too.
Yes. Oh yeah. So we're gonna try, if we get this thing in time tomorrow, we're gonna really try to get on it and try to put a kit together before the sale. My hope is that the kit is done before the sale starts, so people don't look for it, don't get it, put an order in, then they're like, oh, it came out the day later and I got out again. And they actually all talk like that. So My hopes is that we can just get it done early and everybody will be happy. But we will do our best. It all depends on the FedEx man. So if he gets here, I'll get it done. Bam. That's that. Promise.
So there you have it. Romeo, thanks for joining us. There you have it. That's Speedfreaks and nuclear Battlefoam bags.
Yeah, baby.
All in one
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
And Black Friday.
And Black Friday. Get the good stuff free, cheap. Not free.
Yeah,
Not
cheaper.
free.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Romeo.
Yeah,
and
thanks for slogging through all the new technology.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord
we
have
appreciate
mercy. Thanks, God.
and have you considered changing your name to Steven?
Yes, Roger. Yes. Yes. I'm actually filing papers tomorrow. I'm going to DMV first.
Yeah.
Craig's been to DMV today.
I've been busy with the DMV today. I
Next
don't
time you
want to
see him
talk
at a
about it.
convention, ask him about that story. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Romeo, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you back on the show.
It's great being able to chat.
And super thrilled to have you back on near the 10-year anniversary here. We were with you in the beginning, and it's
right
cool
there
to
at the
see
beginning. Absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
That's awesome, guys. All right. Well, thank you. Hey, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving. What's the other one? The one for the
Turkey.
The candles.
Turkey.
And the 7 days.
That would be Hanukkah,
That's the one.
Yeah,
God bless them.
the Festival of Lights.
Yeah.
That's later. But yes, sure. All right. Excellent. All right, Romeo.
See you guys.
Have a good one, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at info@the d6generation.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Thanks for listening and happy gaming.